Benedict and I entered into a marriage of convenience. In a relationship mixed with money, interests, and sex, love unexpectedly blossomed between us. By chance, I discovered his infertility report to protect his self-esteem. We publicly claimed to be a DINK family. It wasn't until Angelina got pregnant that I began to feel lost. Is it that he can't have children? Or that he doesn't want to have them with me? Simply because Angelina bears a slight resemblance to his deceased white moonlight. He then decided to divorce me and marry Angelina instead. The engagement banquet proceeded as scheduled, unprecedentedly grand, yet the guest seats remained completely empty when sending out the invitations. I had already replaced the content with Benedict's infertility report. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Sometimes, the turning point of fate happens in an instant. Benedict was playing games in the study when his phone vibrated. This phone was his backup device, which he used to carry with him often. A glance revealed it was a message. The sender's note reads, "Little sweetie." I hesitated for a second, then clicked to open it. The message read, "Honey, I'm pregnant." At that moment, I felt as if someone had grabbed me by the throat, making it hard to breathe. I forced myself to calm down and quickly skimmed through their chat history. Turns out, this little sweetie was Angelina. Their conversation was filled with ambiguity and sweetness. I continued scrolling up and saw even more heartbreaking content. Benedict once said to her, "Let's get married, I'll divorce Callista." My hands were trembling, but I still took screenshots to preserve this evidence. Then, I noticed a strange message. Benedict said, "Don't worry, I've already had someone alter my infertility test report." I froze. What did this mean? I quickly opened my phone browser and searched for the Dixon Family Group's recent news. Suddenly came across a report. The Dixon Family Corporation organized comprehensive health checkups for all senior executives to improve employee benefits. So that's how it is, I sneered. I opened my phone and sent a message to my best friend Betty. Help me find out which hospital the Dixon Family Corporation uses for their health checkups. A few minutes later, Betty replied with the name of the hospital. I immediately called to schedule a medical checkup for the next day. After hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath to calm myself down. Then, I carefully restored Benedict's phone to its original state. "Callista, have you seen my phone?" Benedict suddenly walked out of the study, his eyes darting between me and the sofa. I snapped out of my thoughts and looked up at him. He was only wearing home shorts, revealing his perfectly toned upper body with 8-pack abs. His figure remained flawless. Someone once said, "Callista, you're so lucky to marry such a perfect man." I thought I was lucky too. Now it seems, it was just an elaborately designed scam. There's a message just now, from Angelina. Do you want to see it? Oh, probably something work-related. Benedict casually picked up the phone as if nothing had happened. He grabbed the clothes from the couch and put them on, then picked up the briefcase on the table. "I need to go to the office for an emergency overtime." Because I always wanted children, he kept saying career comes first and insisted on being child-free. Later, when I pressed him too much, he left an infertility report at home. After that, I never brought it up again. Turns out, this was also part of the lie. Moments later, Benedict walked in fully dressed. "Callista, I'll be back late. Don't wait for me." "Project issues again." "Yes, there's a problem with the new project that needs handling." "Is Harley going too?" "Yeah, he's coming as well." What a perfect excuse. Time, place, people, everything's flawlessly arranged. I nodded. "Come back early." Benedict left abruptly. The faint smile he couldn't quite hide at the corner of his mouth still caught my attention. I couldn't figure it out. "Benedict, why can't you be honest with me? Why pretend you can't have children? Also, for the first time in years, Angelina, this name has appeared. How could she be Benedict's colleague?" IG profile picture, tone of speech, unfamiliar name. Gradually, familiar scenes pieced together in my mind. Suddenly, I thought of something. I hurriedly turned on the computer. Angelina's name wasn't the first time I'd heard it. 1 year ago today, Benedict was surrounded by media due to a charity banquet. I went to pick him up on site. He looks fine, just a bit of weariness in his eyes, but his condition is off. His gaze is shifty, and he's full of wariness. It's safe to say, apart from when he first took over the company. I haven't seen that kind of Benedict in a long time. He spoke eloquently to the media, putting on the air of a philanthropist. The reporters scrambled to ask questions. Benedict wore a fake smile. If I didn't know him, I might have been fooled by this mask. After the reporters dispersed, I prepared to leave with him. A plainly dressed girl rushed forward. With a tearful voice, she said to Benedict, "Mr. Benedict, please, I beg you to save my brother. He's really not going to make it." I froze for a moment, then looked at Benedict. His expression remained impassive. I've already donated so much. What more do you want? The girl looked desperate, but that money never reached the patients. It was all taken by middlemen. Benedict's expression grew even colder as he harshly interrupted the girl. Then go find a middleman. It's none of my business. Besides me and Benedict, Betty was also there. As Benedict turned to leave, Betty whispered to me, "Don't you think that girl bears some resemblance to Lena?" I chuckled wryly. Lena, Benedict's deceased white moonlight. Betty's words really caught my attention. It made me unconsciously take a second look. That's right, it's her, Lena's replacement. Benedict kept his promise. He didn't come home all night. The next day, he remained unreachable, and his phone went unanswered. Late at night, he returned home and handed me a beautifully packaged cake. "I saved the last 1% of my battery just to buy your favorite cake. I'll walk the dog first. You should try it now." "Thank you, hubby." Benedict left the cake and went out. I grabbed the car keys and drove straight to Benedict's company. Benedict's office was neat and tidy. Our wedding photo was placed on the table. Fits Benedict's style. I didn't have time to look at anything else and went straight to Benedict's computer. I quickly cracked his login password. It was our wedding anniversary. In a folder, I found his hidden audio recording. It was Angelina threatening him in the audio. The audio content was from their journey to the hospital. He called Angelina and said 2 words, "Get in." Angelina hurriedly got into the passenger seat. Then came a burst of noise from inside the car. Conversations. Arguments. "Aren't you afraid the fake report will be discovered? Getting scared now? What if the child is found out?" Benedict spoke in a low voice, full of exhaustion. "Stay." Angelina smirked. "I knew it. You still love me the most. Keep a low profile." The roar of the engine revealed Benedict's speed. With the welcome home prompt, the car came to a stop. Benedict hid someone right under my nose, only a wall apart, after a long stretch of silence. The recording suddenly picked up a burst of static, then a clear male voice came through. It was Harley, Benedict's secretary, and also his partner in crime. "Big bro, still not done with your workout, not even sparing a pregnant woman. I've been waiting for you for 2 hours, almost done. Tisk, standing me up for so long isn't like you, just because she looks like Lena. You're really hooked." Benedict gave an MHM in response. Harley seemed somewhat surprised. "No way, sir, are you serious?" Benedict remained silent. "We even have a child together. How could it be fake? Speak plainly. Didn't you pride yourself on being a lone romantic, swearing to grow old with Callista? How come you changed your mind before even turning gray?" Perhaps the problem was too thorny. After a long silence, he spoke. "I'm child-free, but Callista wants kids." "Then how did Angelina get pregnant?" "Maybe. I just don't want to have kids with Callista." "Benedict, how long has it been since we last did it?" I flipped through Benedict's desk calendar while reminiscing. Was it half a year ago? Oh, no. It started a year ago, from the moment I took over the family business. During that period, I stayed at the company day and night to acquire a nearly bankrupt medical equipment company. Every day passed in a daze, unaware of day or night. Benedict came to my company to see me, but I pushed him away, undeterred. He wrapped his arms tightly around my waist and forcefully kissed my lips. I forcibly stopped them all. "Can we wait until I'm done and get home?" At first, Benedict was considerate and understanding, even making me nutritious soup. Later, he grew somewhat impatient, but with my constant reassurance, he gradually faded from my sight. Finally, for 3 months, he never appeared before me again. Later, I found him at the company. I realized our feelings had grown thin, so I took the initiative to invite him to dinner, and in the evening, I changed into his favorite maid outfit. That night, I sensed his absent-mindedness. It felt like the passion between us had faded, and we silently agreed to end it. We used to fall asleep in each other's arms, but that night, we were like 2 isolated islands, each keeping to ourselves. When it comes to love, I'm rather slow to react, unsure how to adjust the dynamics between us, but Benedict was the first to come and comfort me. He said it wasn't a problem that I was focused on work, but rather that he suddenly felt neglected and couldn't adjust. "Callista, the new house is almost ready. Let's go handle the paperwork and put it in your name." The homeowner of Longjing was successfully registered under my name, Callista. I think he still loves me, and we can make up as before, even though he rarely comes to pick me up at the company anymore, even though we no longer hold hands in public places like we used to, but he is still willing to play along with me. Pretending to be a DINK family, publicly claiming that we don't want children because he's afraid my figure might change, going along with my decision. But the truth, it's not that he didn't want children, but that he didn't want children with me. Every word cuts deep. Indeed, this incident made me realize a truth. Problems won't crush a person, but emotions will. Benedict contacted me and found my phone was already turned off. He didn't call me again, nor did he ask Harley to track my whereabouts. I sat motionless in his office. It wasn't until my back grew stiff and sore that I slowly stood up. When I got home, Benedict was already fast asleep. A sudden wave of nauseating disgust welled up inside me. I retreated from the master bedroom and sat quietly at the desk. I stared at the computer screen all night. The year I met him, he was 25, having just taken over the family business, the ambitious young man, disregarding his father's objections, forcefully pushed for the company's transformation and came to my father with a business proposal for collaboration. My father recognized his talent and asked me to handle the negotiations. This kid is quite interesting, go talk to him. If he can convince you, I'll invest. I never wanted to get involved in this kind of thing. I was even prepared to just go through the motions, but he was too confident, too charismatic. When I went to negotiate, he stood in the center of the conference room, speaking eloquently like a general conquering the world. He clearly and methodically explained his plan to me. Before I could even voice my doubts, he had already addressed each one of my concerns. Miss Callista, this project will be the dark horse of this year's competition. Just like you, I was left speechless, completely impressed by his determination. Because of his appearance, my father's company found a new direction for development. The daily work no longer seemed so boring. We collaborated for a quarter. Later, it was also me who convinced my father to fully invest, helping him become a rising star in the industry. At first, I thought it was just an ordinary business collaboration, but later he told me that he had noticed me long before. He said he had studied my family's business back in business school. From then on, I became an indispensable part of his career blueprint. This man, when he was still a nobody, had already included me in his grand plans. I was drawn to his ambition, but now he wants to abandon me. I must also quickly extricate myself from this high society marriage. Betty, get me in touch with a top divorce lawyer. What? Benedict is having an affair, I sneered. That woman is pregnant. Wait, didn't you say he was infertile? My words left Betty frozen in place. Say that again. Benedict is infertile, but his mistress is pregnant. How is that possible? I handed my phone to Betty, showing Angelina's social media post from this morning. Benedict stood beside her, his hand resting on her abdomen. She excitedly wrote, "Our little angel." I didn't add her on IG, but I found her by searching her number. Strangers can only see the last 10 days of moments. It's enough for me. For 10 days, every single day had Benedict in it, accompanying her to prenatal checkups, meals, shopping, even taking her home. I told Betty, use all your connections to find me a lawyer. Betty said with a grave expression, I'll contact the best lawyer immediately. I nodded and cautioned, don't let Harley know. Harley was Benedict's secretary, and also his informant. Life is unpredictable. Some share the same bed but dream different dreams, while others feel like old friends at first sight. I understand. Are you okay? Betty wanted to comfort me, but I silenced her. It's fine, no need to comfort me. I don't have time to grieve for him. I let out a long sigh. The division of assets is the most troublesome part, and with our intertwined interests, I need to return to the company to handle it. This is the life of a powerful businesswoman. Even grief must follow a schedule. I handed over the audio copied from Benedict's computer to Betty. Additionally, Benedict has a medical report proving infertility. The only disadvantage for me is the 1-month cooling-off period required for divorce. Fortunately, Betty acted quickly. While I was working overtime at the company, overwhelmed with work, I received a call from the lawyer. Hello. Since the amount involved between you and Mr. Benedict is substantial and the division is complex, do you find this asset division table appropriate? The lawyer sent me a detailed list of asset division. It's indeed professional, with many more profit points than the one I did. Although it's impossible to completely separate everything cleanly, we've already maximized your benefits. I'm quite satisfied. The division is very detailed, thank you. After hanging up the lawyer's call, I poured myself a glass of wine. This was my second time drinking since marriage. Under the dim light, I admit emotions took over. Sorrow makes one drunk more easily. I woke up again, lying on the office desk. I quickly tidied myself up and went out. The weather is nice today, perfect for a showdown. Click to open Angelina's moments. Benedict's activities are fully visible. They visited private hospitals, maternity stores, and postpartum care centers. These are all forms of romance I've never experienced. Benedict always said he wanted to focus on his career and didn't want children. But now it seems he just didn't want them with me. He once hinted about freezing eggs to prepare for the future. said it was for our future, but I stood at the hospital entrance, never taking that step forward. Benedict said it was fine, but I knew he held resentment in his heart. Looking back now, there were simply too many conflicts between Benedict and me. When blinded by profit, we claim that arranged marriages can still bring happiness. Now it seems someone was just deceiving themselves. Goodbye, Benedict. Dressed impeccably in a suit with an icy expression, Angelina clung to his arm. Nestling against him like a delicate bird, her lips curled into a full smile, with bodyguards carrying baby supplies trailing behind her, exuding the air of a young mistress. Next time, let's go pick out wedding rings together, shall you? Didn't you promise me a grand wedding? After all, this is our first child. Benedict, your marriage certificate is here. I waved the red booklet in my hand, its colors strikingly vivid under the sunlight. Angelina clearly didn't hear. Still holding Benedict's hand and coquettishly clinging to him, Benedict, however, stood frozen as if struck by lightning. He abruptly released Angelina, took a few steps forward, and put distance between himself and Angelina. Panic gradually materialized on Benedict's face. Facing me, Angelina remained composed, standing there with an air of arrogance. She wanted to approach Benedict while casting a somewhat provocative glance at me. Quite the awareness of being the other woman. Truly a standout who has weathered the battles of the business world. Benedict quickly masked his earlier panic. He turned and hailed a taxi, then tried to shove Angelina inside. Angelina looked at Benedict in disbelief, a flash of anger in her eyes. Yet she forced a smile. She didn't want to leave, so I sneered. To get married, you'd need a license, right? I held up Benedict and my marriage certificate, waving it in front of Angelina's eyes. Benedict looked grim and sternly said to Angelina, "You go back first." Angelina's eyes were filled with ambition. She didn't listen to Benedict and closed the car door. Stepping out, I also darkened my expression. "Sit down, let's talk." Angelina actually showed some courage. In such a situation, most people would have probably fled long ago. She straightened her back even more and followed along. The three of us sat at an outdoor cafe. Benedict ordered coffee for the two of us. I mocked, "Just 2 drinks, isn't your lover worthy of one?" Benedict suppressed his aggression, yet his eyes were already turbulent with emotion. He snorted coldly and ordered another cup of hot milk. The three of us fell into a prolonged silence. I was the first to speak. "Ms. Angelina, I heard you're pregnant. Congratulations indeed." Angelina seemed to have anticipated that I would ask her this. "Yes, Benedict and I are very much looking forward to this child. Don't you know Benedict is infertile?" Angelina was visibly stunned. Benedict snapped sharply, "Callista, what exactly are you trying to do?" I saw Benedict's eyes brimming with raging fury. His expression had already contorted, clearly struggling to suppress his anger. I ignored Benedict's questioning, keeping my focus squarely on Angelina. "Miss Angelina, which hospital did you go to for prenatal checkups?" "RX Hospital." I raised an eyebrow. "What a coincidence, this hospital is under my name." Angelina was slightly taken aback, and I continued. "If you want to change hospitals to give birth, that's fine too. Just tell me which hospital, mention my name, and you'll get a 30% discount." Angelina suddenly changed her expression, looking flustered at Benedict. I saw her frightened expression and laughed out loud. "Don't look at him, it's useless." Angelina finally couldn't hold it together under my high-pressure conversation, excusing herself by claiming discomfort and leaving first. I turned to look at Benedict. "Let's go to Longjing." Benedict's emotions erupted at this moment. He gritted his teeth. "Callista, what exactly do you mean?" I withdrew my earlier smile. I came to lay my cards on the table. At the entrance of the residential area, Benedict stopped me. He rejected my suggestion to go up and sit for a while, having fun. He locked me in the car. "You already know everything, yet still want to go up. What, looking for humiliation?" Benedict's lips curled into a mocking smile. "Isn't it just about getting a divorce? Come on, hand it over." Benedict reached out his hand to me. "What? You must have already drafted the divorce agreement, right?" Seeing no movement from me, Benedict quietly let out a sigh of relief. "When did you find out?" Benedict rolled down the car window, letting in the cold wind that helped calm me down considerably. "At the charity gala you hosted." I smoothed back my hair that had been tousled by the wind. Benedict's Adam's apple bobbed slightly. His hands on the steering wheel trembled faintly. "You knew all along." He suddenly raised his voice. He said, "I really underestimated you, Callista. To have you accompany me in acting out this charade for so long. I truly am a beast. It can't be changed anymore." "Can it?" "Yes," I answered without hesitation, giving a definitive reply. I took out the prepared divorce agreement from my bag. Benedict snatched it and signed his name with a flourish, without hesitation, decisively. "I'll handle the company matters, and I'll give you all the shares you want." With that, he decisively got out of the car. I don't know if it was intentional, but I saw Angelina at the entrance of the neighborhood. The two of them were standing about 50 meters in front of my car. "Benedict, did you really sign the divorce papers for me?" Angelina's delighted expression was particularly glaring through the car window. Benedict turned his head coldly to look at me. "Bring your marriage certificate and household register tomorrow. Meet me at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Do you feel like everything is under control?" Yet there's a hint of unease. "He's playing mind games," I sneered and threw Benedict's goblet gift against the wall. I know full well. Perhaps I hadn't completely seen through it at first, but by this time, Benedict's tricks were already laid bare. After all this time together, Benedict has always been domineering and self-centered, never forgetting the slightest grievance. Competitors' evaluation of him, the earthly purgatory of the Dixon family, provoke his wrath once and he'll remember it for 3 lifetimes. I understand his business tactics, and I understand the man himself. I had also imagined what kind of counterattack he would launch against me. Even though I had built layer upon layer of psychological defenses, his words still struck right through them. My hand trembled slightly as I held the signed agreement. I thought I would see at least a hint of panic from him. At least it proves that there's still some bond in our feelings. Clearly, he has let me down. 10 years, not too long, yet not too short either. From the beginning of his career to reaching the pinnacle, 10 years, those were also the 10 years I spent by his side. From a naive heiress to a mature businesswoman, it was he who forced me to grow. When he needed me, he promised me wealth and glory. When he no longer did, he cast me aside like a worn-out shoe. He owed me at least a shred of respect. The repeated strategizing in business dealings has left me somewhat weary. I canceled 2 days' worth of meetings, stayed in the office. Didn't go anywhere. I've been angry, doubtful, and self-reproachful. In the end, I calmed down. Because of Betty's phone call, she said there was new progress in the acquisition plan and asked me to quickly review the new proposal. I turned on my computer and immersed myself in work. 2 hours later, I sent over the revised comments. "The board meeting next Wednesday. You must be there." Understood. After finishing all this, I leaned back in my chair and suddenly felt somewhat lost. Is it really that hard to accept? The marriage with Benedict was a business alliance from the start. Don't expect true love. Don't believe in promises. We've simply followed the inevitable path of every wealthy family's marriage. Should we just go with the flow? No. It's time to fight back. The next day, I put on my makeup and arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time. I waited from 8 until 12, but didn't see Benedict show up. Impatiently, I dialed his number. To my surprise, Harley answered. "Sis, Mr. Benedict is unavailable right now. What can I do for you?" I raised an eyebrow and demanded. "I'm at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Tell Benedict to come here now. Immediately, right away." The voice on the other end of the phone suddenly became hesitant. "Mr. Benedict, on his way abroad, I'm afraid. Tomorrow." I interrupted him. "My patience lasts only until tomorrow. If I don't see him by then, the news of his infidelity and infertility will be all over the newspapers and websites." Without waiting for Harley to finish speaking, I decisively hung up the phone. I knew Benedict hadn't gone abroad. After all, Angelina's social media had just posted photos of them shopping for a stroller. I didn't care whether he was actually abroad or just making excuses. All I know is that I must file for divorce tomorrow. Unexpectedly, that evening I saw a furious Benedict at the bar. "Didn't you go abroad?" came back by rocket. "I have something to ask you, because of Angelina." Benedict looked at me and suddenly let out a cold laugh. Still so in sync, I didn't even have to say it and you already guessed, didn't you? His sarcasm made me physically nauseous. "Get to the point." I frowned. Benedict darkened his expression. "Callista, I betrayed you first. If you have any grievances, direct them at me. What's the meaning of using those tactics on a woman? Say that again." Anger had already clouded my vision. "Still pretending," Benedict said with sternness in his eyes. "Angelina was given an abortion drug without her consent during her prenatal checkup at the hospital. Wasn't that your doing?" "Who is Angelina?" A commanding voice suddenly rang out. Benedict shuddered. "Father-in-law." My father walked past me with his bodyguard, his brows furrowed into a deep frown as he silently observed Benedict. "What's your relationship with Angelina?" Father pulled out a chair and sat between me and Benedict. "Dad, what brings you here? Answer me. Who is Angelina?" "This is a private matter between me and Callista. Will you speak first, or shall I have your father come here to speak for you?" Benedict clenched his teeth. but after a moment, still said nothing. I pressed my throbbing temples. Dad, you go to the inner room first. I'll talk to him. My father raised his hand to summon his bodyguards forward, clearly intending to Benedict be taken to the inner room as well. I grew somewhat anxious. Dad, let me and Benedict handle our own matters. Father gave me a deep look, sighed, then turned and went into the inner room. I breathed a sigh of relief, coldly eyeing Benedict. I didn't have anything to do with Angelina being given abortion drugs, with my family's status in City H. If I didn't want her child born today, it wouldn't survive till tomorrow. Would I need to tamper with her prenatal checkups? I have 1,000 ways to deal with her. Why would I choose the one that puts me in the worst position? Callista. You said Benedict cheated on you. My father had somehow appeared behind my shoulder. I exhaled deeply and said, could you please stop having your bodyguards report everything to you? Father's eyes glowered darkly at Benedict. He stepped around me and grabbed Benedict by the collar. Explain yourself, Dad. Don't call me Dad. As soon as the words fell, the father kicked Benedict in the chest. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. Benedict was never one to be bullied. This time, his father had touched a nerve, insulting him while also dragging his own father into it. Watching the two of them at each other's throats, I quietly slipped out of the room. With Benedict's mediocre skills, he likely stood no chance against the professionally trained bodyguards by his father's side. None of these were my concerns. All I cared about was that my father didn't lose his life, otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get this divorce. Around 11 o'clock at night, Benedict appeared outside my door. I stepped aside to let him in. He had a bandage on his head, sitting on the carpet with his upper body slumped against the sofa in despair. I made an appointment to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. As I spoke, I got up to fetch my phone. Benedict suddenly pulled me back onto the couch. His voice was hoarse. I made Harley lie. I didn't go abroad. After you got out of the car that day, I never saw Angelina again, until yesterday. She cried and said she was given abortion pills at your hospital. I knew the truth immediately. I didn't want to deal with it, but I missed you too much. I wanted to see you. Callista. Angelina's words became my excuse to see you. Benedict hid in the shadows of twilight, his elongated silhouette trembling slightly as his shoulders shook. Clearly, he was crying. My weakness is that I can't bear to see Benedict show vulnerability. I agreed to this marriage in the first place because he revealed his fragility before me. At this moment, he wanted to repeat his past mistakes. Benedict, your acting makes me a bit nauseous. I shook off Benedict's tightly gripped hand. Perhaps the movement was somewhat abrupt, as he froze for a few seconds in slight surprise. Am I really that disgusting to you? I didn't want to engage, so I stood up, took my phone, and forwarded the reservation number to Benedict. Benedict, why did we end up like this when everything was fine before? Was it because of that charity gala you hosted? Or the day I acquired that abandoned medical company? Perhaps Angelina's appearance made you realize what it means to find a substitute for lost love. The power of a white moonlight is indeed unmatched. Just a slight resemblance to her was enough for you to elevate her to divine status. So, you chose her. Afraid that I'd find out and you'd face pressure from your family, you pushed me into the abyss instead. You said I changed once I focused on my career, that I was no longer as gentle and considerate as before, that I poured too much into work. You called me a cold-blooded machine, devoid of even the most basic warmth. Benedict, when you weaponized blame and stabbed me with it, do you know how pathetic you looked in my eyes? I even questioned my choices. How blind must I have been to marry someone like you? You're like a selfish clown. Yet you still mock me for not understanding your so-called hardships. My icy words shattered Benedict's last shred of dignity. The next day, Benedict appeared at the Civil Affairs office as promised. We shook hands and parted ways amicably. There's still a 1-month cooling-off period, and the staff advised us to reconsider. I shook my head in refusal. Benedict had bloodshot eyes as he waved goodbye with his back turned to me. I stepped forward and stopped him. Should your things be sent to Angelina or your dad? He looked up at me. Up to you. Up to me, then they'll all be thrown away. In the evening, Betty came to my place to help me sort through Benedict's belongings. 5 full large bags, all tossed into the trash. Want to go for a walk? I gladly accepted. Betty and I strolled along the beach, the seawater dampening the tops of my shoes. After walking for a while, Betty spoke up. I never thought a deceased white moonlight could take such deep root in his heart. It's all my fault for introducing them back then. I shook my head mockingly. No one can truly know what's in another's heart. The beginning and end of our marriage were both choices we made together. If anyone's to blame, it's me for being blind back then. Back then, my father warned me that in this arranged marriage between our families, I was marrying beneath my station. Yet Benedict's words kept haunting me. I've never truly loved many women in my life, but Callista, she's one of them. Did those words move you? I shook my head in denial, yet nodded in agreement. Back then, I was genuinely moved. My feet idly kicked at the sand. Looking back now, I sometimes envy the impulsiveness of youth. Without dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, I just went ahead and married, thinking about it now. That kind of courage is something I'll never have again. Callista, Betty looked at me with complex emotions, sympathy, heartache, and something else I couldn't quite decipher. I gave her a faint smile. Don't worry about me. I just suddenly understood. Business marriages are built on mutual benefit and cooperation from the start. Maybe I'm lucky, there's even a little love mixed into mine, but it doesn't matter. Walk enough roads, and you'll eventually find shoes that fit, don't you think? I might feel the sea breeze is a bit chilly. I hurriedly bid Betty farewell. Betty saw me off to the car and watched me leave. Waking up again, I saw Betty's message. She said, Callista, when you reach the end of the water's flow, sit and watch the clouds rise. Wishing you well. The negative emotions brought by the divorce were quickly suppressed by me. Video conferences and work approvals filled my life with purpose again. My previously anxious state was crowded out and filled by work. It's been half a month without Benedict's news. Today, assistant said to Mr. Kevin had been waiting for me at the door for a long time. Pushing the door open, I saw Harley. Mrs. Callista, I apologize for the intrusion, but if I didn't come now, Mr. Benedict might not survive. He's attempted suicide by cutting his wrists twice at home. Fortunately, he was rescued in time. Otherwise, I beg you, for the sake of past affections, please talk some sense into him. Harley spoke while observing my expression. Lead the way. My words seemed to grant him a reprieve, and he let out a deep sigh of relief. At the hospital, Benedict gave Harley a look urging him to leave. You all talk. I'll go handle some official business. I shot him a disapproving glance. Still at Dixon's place. Didn't I give you a better offer? Think about it. Harley stiffened, looking somewhat uneasy. He hesitated, glanced at Benedict, and finally left silently. I turned around and found Benedict staring at me blankly. I met his gaze and slowly began to speak. Benedict. I had barely started speaking when he eagerly opened his mouth. He said, my liver has never been in good condition, and it's especially painful whenever I stay up late working overtime. During the days we haven't seen each other, I actually underwent liver surgery in the hospital. I asked everyone to keep it from you, afraid you'd find out. Then why do you want me to know now? Benedict lowered his head, rubbing the gauze on his wrist with his palm. I let out a cold laugh. To be honest, what you're saying now is meaningless. I'm no longer your wife, Callista. You should be saying these things to Angelina. I heard. You're going to marry Angelina. Benedict's hopeful gaze gradually dimmed, but as if remembering something, he suddenly sat up straight. Since you already know everything, why did you come here? To laugh at me? I looked at him coldly. I came to warn you. Don't get yourself killed. Don't delay my equity transfer and asset division in half a month. Benedict, I want your company and money, not your life. Benedict lost control of his emotions. Callista, don't you have any compassion at all? I turned and walked away. Put yourself in my shoes. Can you show me the same compassion? I left in a hurry. Harley watched me leave from outside the door. What exactly do you want? We went through great trouble to invite them here, and now you've driven them away. Benedict turned his face away. Don't mention Callista's name in front of me again. Discharge me today. I have an appointment with Angelina to discuss wedding arrangements. Harley shook his head. The divorce cooling off period is almost over. You're out of time, honestly. I don't get it. You're always so calculated with other women, yet around Callista, you act like a gambler who's lost his mind. Benedict glanced at the winding scar on his wrist and fell silent. He couldn't control himself. Before coming, he had clearly thought of words to make amends and was ready to swallow his pride. But facing Callista, he inexplicably lost control of his emotions. He was the one who cheated and gave the cold shoulder. Yet he still felt unwilling to accept it, as if Callista should still clean up his mess like before. Benedict was torn. Ever since he saw Callista at the hospital, he had been torn. He was desperate to salvage something. At the same time, he mocked himself for being overly sentimental, knowing all his efforts were in vain. Benedict had a new white moonlight in his heart from then on. From Lena to Callista, only Lena was truly dead, while Callista was dead inside. If there had been no betrayal, Angelina. If there had been no Callista exposing the truth in anger, perhaps, the white moonlight in his heart would have lasted a little longer. Benedict regretted it. He regretted carrying Lena in his heart. He regretted betraying Callista. He regretted provoking Angelina. After divorcing Callista, Angelina often came to harass him, She asked him why he still hadn't proposed, as her belly was already big. "I want to give birth abroad. Don't you remember the abortion pills last time? And your company? Why should it be split with her, Benedict? Are you just going to watch us mother and child be humiliated?" Benedict found it ironic after hearing this. Callista's character was something he knew all too well. If it weren't for Angelina's constant provocation, she wouldn't have waited until now to act. Angelina still underestimated Callista's strength. The engagement banquet was grand, nearly matching Callista's wedding standards. The invitations were sent out, covering half of City H's elite. Yet not a single person attended. Angelina didn't understand, thinking it was Benedict's mistake. In reality, Callista had placed Benedict's infertility report inside every invitation, along with a photo of Benedict and Angelina with her pregnant belly. The implication was clear: Angelina's child was not Benedict's. For a time, Angelina became Benedict's stain in life. He threatened Angelina to take a paternity test with him, or he would sue her. Angelina was furious with humiliation. Before leaving, she hit and scolded him. Angelina couldn't resist Benedict. He got his way and obtained the paternity test report. The child wasn't his, but belonged to a wealthy businessman who had been Angelina's long-term patron. The infertility report was fake, but this paternity test was genuine. At this point, Benedict and Angelina have completely cut off all contact with each other. The cooling-off period for divorce is nearing its end. The next time I saw Benedict was at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Callista was as radiant and bright as the first time we met, yet Benedict had sunken eyes, looking decadent and haggard. Finally got the divorce certificate. Callista walked away to the left without looking back. Benedict watched her figure gradually fade into the distance. He tore the divorce certificate in his hand to pieces and threw it into a street-side trash bin. In the end, he vanished into the crowd moving in the opposite direction of Callista. The end.